Hey everyone, happy equinox, fall equinox for us here in this side of the world. It's been a really long time since I've made a video. I think the last one I made, Venus was squaring Uranus, and it was a big one for me. My mom passed away very suddenly, and only a few days after I made my video, and so I took the summer off from doing a lot of work. But I'm feeling the call to come back. I'm feeling the fall equinox. I'm just feeling it. And so I wanted to come back and say hello and to talk about the astrology of this week. There's some really powerful astrology going on in the midst of this Mercury retrograde, which has felt very renewing in some ways. It's been hard because, things go awry when Mercury is retrograde. Our thoughts don't always congeal the way we wish that it would. Our technology breaks down, our communications break down, but it's always this invite and this ask that we stop and we slow down and we try to think things alive and in different ways. People that are born under Mercury retrogrades, really understand this energy because it's nothing to fear and it's nothing to, get all in a bunch about. It really is asking us, whatever was going to break was going to break. And so now it's broken. So how do we fix it? And insert any kind of meaning here. Anything that's going on in our lives, albeit our bodies, our minds, our souls, our technology, anything that we have an attachment to intrinsically is going to break, and it's how we show up in the world when our attachments fail us that really give us clues and indicators as to how to live more cohesively in this life. So this week's been kind of big energy that way. We're gearing into this equinox where here in Oregon anyway, it had been so hot and so smoky and so intense. And then all of a sudden the rains came and it got much colder and it started getting darker. It all felt like it happened so fast, didn't it? And so now here we are, we're in the darker phase of where we're headed. And what does that mean for you? Mercury retrograde was this great, he was like standing at the gates, just being like, here I am, we're about to slow it down, So what in your life needs to have a second review? I think that we're all so busy. And especially at the start of the school year, it's always such a joke, having a Mercury retrograde at the beginning of a school year or at the beginning of any, of this new cycle, because it's like, isn't it hard enough? Like, isn't our schedules jacked enough? Like, how are we moving with the tides? Mercury retrograde's here to be like, how are you moving with the tides? Are you moving at all? Like, are you making progress? Because Mercury retrograde's going to make us feel like maybe we're not. But really, it's all a ruse to go deeper and to see what is it inside of ourselves that needs attuning? What is it that we haven't been paying attention to that has maybe been giving us hints that they need attending? That's what Mercury retrograde is about. It's like, well, if you didn't do the update, both in the computer realm and in your soul realm, then what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get a reboot one way or the other. And our preparedness for it is always different, and where it lands in our charts are always different. But it's really a time to be open to reviewing how you've been doing things and maybe how you can be doing them better. So that's Mercury retrograde. And then with this fall equinox, on the heels of it is this beautiful moment of Mercury meeting up with the sun in something called a Cazimi. And it's so powerful because it's really about our thoughts, isn't it? It's our thoughts and the sun, the brightest, thing that we look at in astrology, shining a light. They're in each other's orbit. They're right there together. How can our thoughts radically change our reality? It's interesting because I just taught my Mercury class, my second class, today, and it is all about our thoughts being a blessing or a curse and us always getting to choose. How are we aligning our thoughts with the future that we want to dance alive? How are we misaligning our thoughts? I think is a bigger question when Mercury is retrograde. And this Cazimi is going to just shine a light on where it is we're experiencing this in our own personal lives. Like, where are we not having fun anymore? Where is it not working? Where are we not feeling seen? Where is where's the nail in our tire? Like, what's losing air in our lives that needs this radical, because a Cazimi is such big news. It's so beautiful. And right on the heels of an equinox, it's like radical change. We need a change. We need to see things from a much more naturalistic perspective. Like, get down to the bare bones and bare root of your life and look at what it is that we need to flourish. We're so busy surviving. I don't think a lot of us are flourishing. And I really believe that this period of time, while being challenging, is asking us to stick up for ourselves more. I see that in my own life a lot, in where I'm showing up and for whom I'm showing up with. They're big life lessons. And there's been such an immense amount of grief and pain for me personally that it's been really hard to see the forest for the trees. And this astrology feels a little bit more graspable to me. I'm seeing it from a higher vantage point, which is funny. The card that I pulled today, I did Oracle Palooza, so I'm using Colette's deck because I really enjoyed it. And this is number 18, Eyes of the Eagle, rising above the fray. It's like radical trust that whatever you're in, whatever mud or soup that you are actively engaging with in your life right now, to have the perspective and the trust to rise above it a little bit and see it from a different vantage point is really how to make it better. We can't keep hammering the same nail if it doesn't want to go, and there's no amount of stubbornness in our life that is going to make relationships stay, or going to make jobs get better, or going to make our family life easier if we're not willing to let go of the hammer and be like, okay, it's not working. So how do I take care of me, take care of you, take care of the world, and make it work? Like, how do we make it work in a more functional, sustainable way? That's what a Mercury Cazimi is here to help. Like, this weekend, we're going to get really a lot of support in this, because then we're welcoming Libra season today. We are now out of that Virgo feeling of attachment and control and perfectionism, and we're heading into this harmonious energy, this Libran energy, this Venusian energy of how do we get along? Can't we all get along? And how do we do it better? How do we do it prettier? How do we infuse our days, no matter how difficult, with a little bit more harmony, with a little bit more beauty, with a little bit more balance for, the things that we need versus the things that we want versus the things we have to do? How do we work in tandem with all of those energies so that at the end of the day, we're feeling a sense of accomplishment without burnout? Major burnout at the beginning of September. It always happens. But going into this equinox, it's like this beautiful permission slip to go slower, to cook a nice meal or have a nice meal cooked for you. And just see the world from a much different perspective. It's all about perspective. This Eyes of the Eagle, it's the ability to really see what it is. Sometimes when we have attachment to what it is, we're not actually seeing it, are we? We're manifesting our own worst nightmares often just by being attached to outcome. Whereas if we realize, which has been a very hard lesson for me this summer, that there really is no attachment that could be so deep that it wouldn't go away. I don't think there is any more bigger attachment you can have than a mother-daughter relationship, especially one that was close, which mine was. And the notion, this radical notion that nothing was mine to hold on to in the first place, that there is no such thing as attachment, that whatever we are attached to intrinsically will at some point get taken from us, provides this devil-may-care perspective, on life, where, gosh, look, you can do everything right and you can love so fiercely and yet still get all of the things that you love taken away from you. That creates some kind of, sadness and grief, but also radical trust that that everything that can will, and everything that can't won't, and that our desire really doesn't play a part. And so being able to be flexible and being able to surrender to what is instead of what we wish it was is like such a big lesson when we're going into the fall time, we're going into the winter time. It's going to be about surrendering and going inward and speaking some hard truths. And this Mercury Cazimi is really going to help with that. It's going to alight our minds in a way that's going to help us see things from a different vantage point. And then moving into that beautiful, harmonious Libran energy with a new moon in Libra this weekend. It's big, beautiful energy. It's not to be wasted. It's go out in nature and build a shrine, build an altar, make a fairy circle, pray. Whatever it is you like to do to feel closer to spirit, do that, or closer to yourself, because really spirit is self and self is spirit. We're all here together in the big soup of it. Spending time on what we're needing to let go of and what we're wanting to build into for this next big full moon cycle, because then we're going to be back in eclipse season, and that's going to be really heavy energy and stuff. So it's like, what do we want to be building while we're learning? What are we willing to let go of? What belief system are we willing to, drop so that we can see things in a more harmonious way? So often things aren't working out because of our attachment to how it's supposed to work out. What if it wasn't supposed to anything? What if there is no end game? What if you could just go through life and let life go through you? What if you could just experience and that could be enough? What would your life look like if you surrendered to the fact that we don't have control, to the fact that there is no choice we could make that would ruin our lives so much as how we respond to those choices that we make? Our mind really is the choice maker for us. We can wake up every day and choose how we want to feel, no matter how good or bad our lives are. It's always a mirror and a reflection of truly where we're at on the inside. And then we're just building from the top, from the outside. But really, no matter how good or bad your life is, it can only be made different by how you're shining a light on your insides. We're all just mirror reflections of where we're at in our lives right now. And it's hard for an empath like myself to be going through the world right now because I feel so much collective pain and trauma and loneliness and intensity. And, we're all doing the best we can, which I think is really important to take into our bodies, that we're all just doing the best we can. But how can we, while we're doing the best we can, infuse ourselves with trust, infuse ourselves with radical faith that this is where we're supposed to be at right now, that no matter how hard our life is right now, or no matter what's going on, that there is a peace in it for us to learn, for us to grow, for us to be better, instead of collapsing into what was done to us, or what's been taken away from us, or what we're worried about, or what we're stressed about. It's why are we worried or stressed about that? Like, where's the mechanism inside of us that is in a fight or flight state all the time? I really believe in my heart that this equinox and this new moon needs to be about turning off the alarm bells that are subconsciously inside all of us. We all have them. And taking a look with this Mercury Cazimi that's opening up and showing us our thoughts on a more truthful level. Where are our monsters that are under our own beds? Where are we looking, and why are they coming out? And what does that mean for us individually? Self-reflection is the most important, because no matter what's happening in the outside world, we are going to be reflecting ourselves back to our interactions, to our relationships, to our jobs, to everything around us. We are interacting from the point at which we're at in this present moment. So how can you really sit with your present moment and take accountability and responsibility for how the universe is moving through you? And that's really what I wanted to come on here to say, that life isn't always easy, and that some of our very most precious things in life can get taken from us. And my very most precious thing did. And how do you compost it and transmute it and work with all of the deep waves, because I think that in this society, grief is so scary. I think people think it's contagious. First when I, went through my separation, and now with this death, it's like I'm an allergy to some people. It's like the mirror of what I'm going through mirrors a fear inside of them. And that's interesting, and I'm interested, and I'm my own mirror too. And what am I manifesting from this grief place? And is it okay to manifest from a grief place? And it's all very intrinsic to our own sacred being, and we all have a right to it, and we all have an accountability piece to it too, that no matter what's going on, we still can make a choice every day to show up and to do the work that's necessary to live a very visceral, authentic life here on this planet. It's my promise to myself, it's my promise to this work that I'm doing in astrology and intuitive healing, that I only want to show up authentically, and however that makes anybody else feel has nothing to do with me, and to operate from that perspective, because attachment to common opinion or attachment to outcome is what's always going to create stakes that are way higher than they need to be. I'm going to repeat that. We're all creating way higher stakes in our life than they need to be. We need to bring it down a notch. We need to rise above the occasion of our lives and trust that whatever we're manifesting is truly, a reflection of what we're needing to learn and needing to value in this life. I hope that this weekend brings a lot of clarity for all of you. I hope that the shift into Libra is so helpful, that we stop nitpicking ourselves, that we stop having to check off everything on the list, and that we can really enjoy each other as a collective. Libra wants to be together. Libra wants harmony and love. And if we can all embody that more during this equinox, then going into the colder months maybe won't feel so cold. So I wish that for you. Happy equinox, Cazimi, new moon, sun in Libra. Blessings to all of you guys. And hopefully, cheers to starting my weekly videos again.